Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest and everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the massive rally that is happening right now on Bitcoin. We've also got some very special announcements to share with you guys today regarding our studio. As you can tell, we are a little bit displaced shooting this from our dining room table because we are building a new studio right now. We actually moved out of our last one, and we are building a new one. And I'm looking forward to hopefully having that online by Monday of next week. That is the current goal. Let's make sure we're plugged in here. So today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin heading all the way back up to all-time high. We'd called a rally on Bitcoin a couple of days ago saying that $92,000 was looking to be very unlikely at this point in time as we had invalidated the inverse head and shoulders pattern. Sorry, we had invalidated the head and shoulders pattern on the hourly chart, and we had built an inverse head and shoulders pattern on the 1 hourly chart. And so looking forward to seeing a rally happen on Bitcoin. Pretty much as soon as we made that video, Bitcoin ended up going into a major rally all the way up to $110,500. So we managed to hold $100,000. We've now spent over 30 consecutive days above $100,000, and we have a very low likelihood at this point of revisiting sub $100,000 levels anytime soon. It does look like a breach of all-time high is coming. We are bouncing off of some very important trend lines as we speak. We validated $100,000 of support. We validated about $104,000 to $105,000 of support. Right now, we're validating $108,000 of support, having a very nice, healthy back test off of our local high that we set just a couple of days ago. And so we're gearing up for a major rally. We've been accumulating a lot of Bitcoin. As you guys know, we stacked very hard down at 77 to 80. We stacked very hard in the $90,000 range. We spent a few weeks there. And then we worked on making sure that we hit one of our Bitcoin targets before we broke 100K. We've hit another one of our Bitcoin targets here at 100 to 105,000, and looking forward to the price increasing. Today, we're going to talk about what the next several months are going to look like on Bitcoin, and I'm very, very excited to be here today. So make sure you go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more content. Let's do it. We've got a lot to cover, so let's jump on over to CoinMarketCap. While I get that pulled up, let's go ahead and read a little bit of chat, though. Let's get kicked off by talking to some of you guys. Guys, I'm really excited for what we're doing with the studio. I know we're displaced right now. Hopefully you don't care too much. Doubt you do. But what we're working on, it's going to look really cool. It's going to look really cool. I'm very excited about it. Vitruvian Maniac is first in chat. Jalva is in chat. What's up? Bitcoin Henry's in chat. Arthur De Vroom is in chat. Joe Bollier's in chat. Bitcoin Henry. Dwarf is in chat. Mattis S. Arthur. Florida Attorney. Number 9. Large. Bjorn BCY is in chat. Abraham Lee is in chat. Austin Patrick is in chat. Very excited about today's stream. Let's do it, y'all. Let's do it. All right. Bitcoin at the time that we are live right now is trading at $108,900. This is a perfect level. Let's break down some of what has happened over the last couple of hours, over the last couple of days. As you know, we had a bit of a difficult time, not a bit of a difficult time, but we had a little bit of trading here below $100,000. We traded sideways between about $90,000 and $95,000. At this point in time, it became pretty obvious to me that we were going to have a big breakout above $100,000, so we started accumulating. After we broke $100,000, we built this head and shoulders pattern right here, right there. That head and shoulders pattern had a neckline that sits right here with a price target, as you can see, extrapolated, would point us to about $93,500. That was invalidated when we broke above the 4-hourly 20 exponential moving average here after we dropped down to 100,004. We dropped down to $100,400 and we bounced. The fact that we held that means that we liquidated a lot of the over-leveraged longs, which means that this leg up is much more healthy. The market is much more healthy right now than it was here, because at this point in time we were very over leveraged on the longs. I mean, you saw even the likes of James Wynn getting liquidated on some of the longs. That he's just one of a million that are doing the exact same thing. They're taking out huge leverage positions, longing Bitcoin at the top, instead of waiting for the correction and then doing it. And so there was a strong argument to be made that we could drop down to 92, fill a CME gap. It's technically still a possibility. If we do set a lower high here, then you could say that this is just a bigger head and shoulders pattern, but I don't really think that's what's happening here. Instead, I think that Bitcoin had built a head and shoulders pattern right here, and by breaking this downtrending level of resistance bullish instead of falling beneath, and respecting this downtrending level of resistance to push us below 100K, instead of doing that, Bitcoin rejected the downtrend, broke bullish, broke above some very key levels of resistance, and now we've even broken above the shoulder line here. This is very, very healthy what Bitcoin is doing, because it actually respects some long-term uptrends. You can see there's one of them right here. We have a long-term uptrend based off of these two highs. You can see we built this kind of head and shoulders pattern over here. The neckline, if you extrapolate that out, was a baseline of support at this point in time, and it's actually roughly the level that we're kind of testing right now, depending on how you draw it. We're kind of back testing down here and testing some of our recent resistance. You can even see right here, based on a lot of our trading that took place over the last month, that there is a visible range volume profile peak. It's not the point of control, but it is the second largest peak. It sits here at about 109. So Bitcoin's a little bit below that right now. Nothing to really worry about. We're testing the area. Bitcoin is having a healthy consolidation, a healthy correction off of its recent high up to 110. What we need to see right now is we need to see a healthy rally off of some level of support, whether it be the 24-hourly exponential moving average, which might jump up to 108. It could be off of, something longer term, like out here on the daily chart. We've got the 20 daily EMA here, which is sitting at 106,000. We could bounce there. It doesn't really matter. We just need to see Bitcoin continue to backtest support over the next few hours, next few days, and revalidate the uptrend. One area that I'd love to see Bitcoin revisit and bounce off of would actually be this shoulder line that we broke. If we did break here from 100,400 all the way up to 110, that's a 10% movement. If Bitcoin were to backtest down to this shoulder line, it'd only be a 3% drop off of 10, so that's about a 30% corrective movement. A $3,000 drop, $3,500 drop off of about a roughly $10,000 movement. That would be an excellent and healthy corrective movement, and it would also validate this as support. We've broken through it as support, as resistance. This was resistance, right? We've broken through it as resistance, but if we backtest down here and bounce off of 100 and give or take about 107,000, that would be an excellent opportunity for us to lock in a new higher low, significantly higher low, and you'd even be able to see the difference in the inclination. If we did bounce off of that level, just cleaning up the chart here a little bit so it's a little easier to see what we're talking about. If Bitcoin did bounce off of this level right here, this uptrend, you can see the degree, how steep this uptrend is compared to how shallow this downtrend was right here. In other words, the bulls would be stronger than the bears, because you just take the angle here, and you can tell that this angle is significantly larger. This is probably about a 55 to 60 degree angle. Over here, we're probably looking at about a 35 to a 40 degree angle, which indicates that the bulls in this case would be much stronger than the bears if we did hold this uptrend, and disproportionately stronger. I mean, getting an uptrend this vertical is not an easy feat. So if Bitcoin did bounce, over the next couple of days down at 107, that'd be a very healthy backtest, very healthy consolidation. And also this uptrending, basically more or less flat, but somewhat uptrending level of resistance that is now support, again, acts as about a 1/3 retracement. It's very healthy. If we pull out our fib levels here, we're going to be able to see that it makes a lot of sense from a Fibonacci standpoint as well. Our 0.382 Fibonacci level sits on this retracement at $106,600. A 38% movement would drop us basically right onto this level. So a healthy and standard, a textbook corrective movement would be down to the 0.382 level, which would help us to reconfirm our previous resistance, which was holding the market down. If we bounce from there, then you would basically be seeing this whole movement right here turning into a bull flag, which would mean that you would say that you're halfway through the movement. You would extrapolate just like this, and that would be pointing at $117,000. Most importantly, it would be pointing above all-time high. And if we break the previous all-time high at 112, then all bets are off, and you're probably going to just like teleport to 120. I don't foresee there being very much resistance whatsoever above 112 until you get to 120. The main reason for that is because as of this morning, we have about $1.5 billion in liquidated shorts that are going to get liquidated if we break above 112. There's an enormous amount of liquidations up there for all the short traders. In my experience, it's not a great idea to bet against Bitcoin. $1.5 billion worth of trading volume disagrees, and they're about to flip around and find out, as we're seeing a lot of happening in the media right now. So what I expect to happen here is a short-term consolidative movement over the next 24 to 48 hours, and after that point in time, we're going to see a test back up to 112, which will then be an opportunity to continue to form an inverse head and shoulders pattern. If we do drop here, as I'm anticipating, then you have established the right shoulder of an inverse head and shoulders pattern. That inverse head and shoulders pattern would, of course, have a $12,000 price target because we're bouncing off of 100, neckline's at 112. Bounce from 112 to a $12,000 extension from 112 points us at where? $125,000. You heard it here first, folks. We're looking at a short-term corrective movement to form the right shoulder of an inverse head and shoulders pattern that is pointing at $125,000, our next mass psychological level of support. That's how I see the next week playing out, which is why I've been loading up as much as I can in this range. I have an entry yesterday, in fact, 2 entries yesterday at 108 and 109.5. I'm fine with that. Well, Jeb, you could have gotten a better price. I know. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. I'm not selling till 2040. Guys, have you been paying attention? Like one of our big things, one of the big things that, I mean, I started just saying this, and now everybody calls me the no sell till 2040 guy, right? I was getting a lot of that at the conference. We're not selling Bitcoin till 2040. That's the goal, right? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, but that's the goal, is not selling any Bitcoin until 2040. And the reason for that is because time smooths everything out. You know, one of the things that we get so wrong, is that it's not all about getting the lowest entry. It's also about getting the earliest entry. Because think about it. If the chart in the long term is going up and to the right, and we have all conviction that that's going to continue because of the fundamentals of Bitcoin just being just monstrously bullish. What's going on with the debasement of fiat currencies just basically guarantees that Bitcoin's going to go up forever. If Bitcoin's going up and to the right, then that means the best entry is not just the lowest entry, it's also the furthest left entry. Does that make sense? If the market's going this way, then we don't just need to consider this a good entry, we also need to consider this a good entry. Make sense? Good entry, good entry. Make sure this is really abundantly obvious. If we're going up and to the right, the best entry is not just the lowest entry. The best entry is also the earliest entry. Because if you've ever held Bitcoin for more than 5.5 years, you have been in a profit every single time. I believe, even if you include inflation into that, even if you calculate that with while calculating the inflation. It's not just about getting the lowest entry, right? It's not just about getting the lowest entry. It's also about getting the earliest entry. And so the thing that we need to keep in mind here is that this is not all about getting an entry at sub 100,000. This is also the concept of just getting in as soon as we can. And so that's why we just keep dumping money in. I told my my brother, who's probably watching right now, yesterday, because I'm helping him with some Bitcoin investing. I told him, I'm an expert in this market. I have watched this market every single day for nearly a decade. I've thought about doing like a game show with myself where somebody shows me like the hourly chart of Bitcoin, maybe the 4-hourly or the 8-hour chart. That might be more fair, but shows me like just a still of this. And I have to tell them what month it happened in. I think I could do it. If it's any time in the last 10 years, I think you could show me an 8-hour snapshot of the chart, and I'm pretty sure, with a pretty high confidence, I'd be able to tell you what month it happened in. I know the chart extremely well. I am an expert in the Bitcoin chart. I say that about literally nothing else in my life. I feel like a complete fool in every area of my life sometimes, except Bitcoin. I know the Bitcoin chart like the back of my hand. And I don't try to time the market. I don't try to time the market. Just get the earliest entry you can. Just get in. If a dip comes, take advantage of it. When Bitcoin dropped down to 100, I told you guys it was going to drop down to 92. It didn't drop that far. I said the most bullish case is that we drop to 100. The most bearish case is we drop to 92. The base case is that we drop to 95. That's what I told you. Bullish case, we drop to 100. If we drop to 100, if you'll remember, several days ago, like a week and a half ago, I said if we drop to 100, I'm buying. Guess what? We dropped to 100, I bought. If you can get a low entry, great. But what you can do, let me pose it like this, and then we'll move on, because I don't want to ramble here on one subject. It is difficult to figure out whether or not Bitcoin is going to drop. And it's difficult to figure out how far it's going to drop. Because the price of Bitcoin is affected by a great multitude of factors. It's not hard to tell that today is one day before tomorrow. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot easier to figure out, oh, well, if I just buy today, that's 24 hours from tomorrow. That's 48 hours from the day after tomorrow. That's 72 hours from the day after tomorrow. That's 168 hours from 1 week from now. That's 864 hours from 1 month from now. That's 8,650 hours or whatever it is from 1 year from now. That's pretty simple. Pretty easy to tell how early I am. You can figure out, okay, we're about, give or take 168 months from 2040. January 1st, 2040, something like that, within a couple months, whatever. Right, there's 120 months in a decade. And there's 48, 168, 172, 174 months until January 1st of 2040. Somebody check me on that. 174, I'm thinking. Right? 54 months till the end of this day. Something like that. That's easy to figure out. And we're doing the exact same thing as trying to figure out where the bottom is on the price, except we're doing it in the time interval. We're trying to figure out the distance between here and here on time, but in price, we're trying to figure out the distance between here and here. This is a lot harder. This is a lot easier. Instead of focusing so much on timing the market price-wise, try timing the market time-wise. Get it as early as you can. Because Bitcoin's going to freaking explode. I want to talk with you about a couple of reasons that I believe that it's going to go absolutely ballistic. Let's start with some technical factors on the longer-term time frames, and then we'll go to some fundamental factors on the longer-term time frames. Let's read a little bit of chat. Eric said that's impressive. I don't know. I'd have to be tested on it, but I'm pretty sure. I know at this range where you're showing me a 3-month range, guaranteed. Guaranteed. Let's try it. Let's go over here. Let's see. I'm just going to zoom in. I'm looking away. You can see. This is, I saw it down there, but this is March, right? This right here is the COVID crash. We dropped 50% a day. Let's try it again. I'm gonna cover the thing up with my hand. I'm just gonna zoom around. I have no idea what's going on. Let's see, where are we? This is the end of the last bull market. Yep, there it is. Okay, I checked. This is the top of the last bull market. That's the drop. War in Ukraine started here. Yep, I think I could pull it off. I really think I could. Anyway, Kryptoni said, "You aren't home." No, actually, I am home. That's why I'm here. We're rebuilding our studio. That looks really funny. My arm up in front of the camera. We're rebuilding our studio. I'm working on a new studio. Very excited about the plan. I think it's going to look awesome. I honestly think it's going to be the best looking studio we've ever had. Really psyched for it. We're gonna have different camera angles. It's gonna be cool. I don't want to give too much away right now. I wasn't even gonna tell you. I was just gonna do it, but it's taking a little bit longer than I thought because I really want to just nail it. I was just gonna show up one day in the new studio, but I said, nah, we've got to stream. I can't just not stream. So we're streaming from here. Better to do this than nothing. All right. Let's see. Any other questions or comments? Let's have them right now. Good deal. By the way, who would be interested in, who remembers, quick poll, who remembers, now probably one of you remember this because this was like 6 years ago. Who remembers the first cohort that I created? The first cohort. It was a private Discord group for you guys. Who remembers that? I'm thinking about creating that as an add-on, as an upsell to the Financial Sovereignty Academy. As far as the Financial Sovereignty Academy was always intended to just be the video content and then have a community on top of that. I'm thinking about creating something called the first cohort. That would be, and I might name it something else, but that would be on top of the, Financial Sovereignty Academy. And that's the place that I would be doing probably a weekly call with you guys. I'd be doing teaching. I'd be, chatting with you guys in in the Discord server. Something I'm thinking about. Tell me what you guys think about that. Let's get started. We've got a lot of other content I want to bring to you today. The first thing I want to talk about is this big inverse head and shoulders pattern that's taking place on the daily chart. We have an inverse head and shoulders pattern right now, which is potentially going to send us into the next leg of this rally. We've got a range here of roughly $38,000. If Bitcoin breaks above that range using the inverse head and shoulders pattern for the price target, we're looking at a price target of $168,000. So this shorter term inverse head and shoulders pattern that we're building here has a price target roughly at 125. That longer term inverse head and shoulders pattern has a price target at 170. So the consideration that I have for you is that I think that Bitcoin is going to end up following through on that inverse head and shoulders pattern, which makes sense because the last rally that we saw followed through on the price target of that market corrective movement. It wasn't exactly an inverse head and shoulders pattern, but we had a drawdown of roughly, as you can see right here, a drawdown of roughly $25,000 after we broke above our all-time high. We would be seeing most likely an all-time high rally right here. We saw a $25,000 extrapolation, $25,000 movement. If we were to do the exact same thing in this case, we would likely be looking at a rally up to $170,000. As you can see, you simply extrapolate that there, you're looking at 170. This is very typical of what we've seen happen so far this cycle. We've seen a stair step kind of thing. We've seen a stair step up, where Bitcoin has not just necessarily gone absolutely parabolic, but instead Bitcoin has been taking more measured steps up. We saw one step here, another step, a third one, and it very much looks like, as we see Bitcoin bouncing off of this uptrending level of support right here, that we are in the middle, about halfway through. We're in the middle. We're about halfway through this rally. We're in the middle of it, and then we are probably going to finish this stair step up. At this point in time, it could be looking at $150,000 to $170,000 on Bitcoin. Now, is that realistic? I think so. A $170,000 Bitcoin would be roughly a $3.4 trillion Bitcoin market capitalization. That would be very much in the realm of possibility to see another $1 trillion of value flow into the Bitcoin space. And frankly, it's surprising that it hasn't happened already with the billions and billions and billions of dollars of acquisition that we've seen over the last several months in Bitcoin. It is honestly shocking that we have not already broken straight through $112,000 to go on to a massive rally all the way up to 125 to 175. I think by the end of this year, you're going to see Bitcoin having hit. Now, we might not actually end the year trading at this level. We could be in the middle of a correction when the year ends. But by the end of this year, I expect that Bitcoin will have hit $175,000, at least briefly, minimum 150. Because we are getting into the area where even when Bitcoin looks like it's making measured steps, it's adding $1 trillion in market capitalization like it's nothing. Well, Jeb, $1 trillion in market cap, that's a lot of market cap. Correct. But in the last 2.5 years, Bitcoin has added $2 trillion in market cap. If you'll remember, back to the bear market bottom, Bitcoin's market cap was $1/3 trillion. Right now, Bitcoin's market cap is $2.2 trillion. We've added just shy of $2 trillion market cap in the last year, the last 2.5 years. And so another $1 trillion added makes sense, especially when you're seeing the kind of rally that's going on gold. This is a different market today than what we saw several years ago. Gold's going crazy. And the reason that gold is going absolutely nuts is because there is a flight to hard money. Someone told me the other day, they said, I'm still learning about Bitcoin, but I'm thinking about buying gold. I said, you go right ahead and buy the second best asset class in the entire world. I love gold. It's just not as good as Bitcoin. I would be a gold bug if Bitcoin weren't a thing. Gold has outperformed the US S&P 500 in the last 25 years, and gee, I wonder why. Because the currency is being debased at the fastest rate that we've seen in centuries. We've never seen anything like this. And so Bitcoin is going to do extremely well because of the exact same reason that gold's doing extremely well. You saw gold coming up here hitting these all-time highs, kind of flirting with $200 here on SPDR, $2,000 and change on the spot price per ounce. And then it just went on this meteoric tear. Bitcoin is preparing for the exact same thing. In fact, it's in the first leg of it right now. We broke above the previous all-time high resistance zone of between $65,000 and $75,000. After that point in time, Bitcoin went freaking nuts. We rallied all the way up to 109K. We've been testing the $100,000 resistance zone, and that's basically the story of this bull market so far. We had to break through the previous all-time high resistance zone. Then we had to break through 100K. We've broken through 100K. We have spent days, weeks, over a month now above $100,000. 32 days and counting. 32 days and counting, Bitcoin has spent above $100,000. But what you need to understand is that Bitcoin is still in the catchment zone of 100K. We have not gotten out of the gravitational pull of $100,000 yet. But once we do, then we have broken through the two most important gravitational pulls, the two most important resistance zones of this market, the previous all-time high and 100K. Once those two are in the rearview mirror, there's not a lot slowing us down till 150. There's not a lot slowing us down till 200. There's not. And so what we need to consider is that, I think that X has said this the best. Right now, that we are the beach ball held underwater market. There's so much bullishness pent up that is about to be released. People think alt season is coming. Yeah, alt season is going to happen at some point. But Bitcoin is the real story right now. Don't miss out on that. Now, I want to talk about a couple of other concepts here. Over the last 24 months, we have seen an enormous amount of corporations moving in the direction of adopting Bitcoin treasuries. And in doing so, many of you guys and myself have adopted the concept of a Bitcoin treasury. That's what the OGs have been doing, and what we've been doing since the beginning is just stacking Bitcoin, just stacking sats. Now Wall Street is having to contend with that. I want to break down how this works for Wall Street and what this looks like. Strategy is going to have its earnings call very soon. They are going to have over $20 billion in unrealized profit. That is unheard of. Let me show you what the quarterly profit of Google is. You can see right here. The net income, not profit, net income of Alphabet, the parent company of Google, quarterly. Their income, not the profit, their income is $34 billion. Over the course of a year, Google makes about $100 billion. Let's look at Apple. Apple prints cash. Over the course of a quarter, about $100 billion, something like that? Best quarter ever, revenues of $124 billion. See if we can find the quarterly profit here very quickly. Their quarterly profit is obviously significantly lower than that. Let's see if we can find this. Quarter per year profit. So there we go. Apple revenue increased 5% on a year-to-year basis. This is in 2025. Okay, so this is recent. In this quarter, I can't tell if this is Q1 or Q2. This is Q2. All right, cool. So their profit for Q2 this year was $25 billion. This is Apple we're talking about. I am doing this video on an Apple computer. I am reading the chat on an Apple iPhone. They sell 1 billion iPhones a year. They're one of the largest companies on the planet. Their market cap is what? $2.5–3 trillion right now? What is it? $3 trillion? $3 trillion. I think that they're second largest company in the world. And their quarterly profit is $25 billion. Now, that's nothing to scoff at. That's enormous. But let me tell you what's even more enormous. Strategy coming in with a $100 billion market cap, 1/30th the size of Apple, sitting on a $20 billion unrealized profit. What do you do if you're NASDAQ? What do you do if you're NYSE? What do you do if you're CBOE? What do you do if you're Apple? What do you do if you're Alphabet? What do you do if you're Microsoft? What do you do if you're Elon Musk? What do you do if you're one of these companies and their entire strategy is to buy and hold Bitcoin? And they're nipping at your heels, and they don't have a 45-year track record of building great computers. They don't have 1 billion users. They don't have 2 or 3 billion people adopting their products. They don't have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million employees. They've got a few dudes in a conference room eating a bagel and 580,000 Bitcoin. And they're making as much money as you, unrealized profit. Just about. This forces every single company in the S&P 500 to consider the opportunity cost of not buying Bitcoin. This forces every single company on the NASDAQ to consider that the cash that they're sitting on is part of the reason that their stock's not growing faster. It forces every single one of them to come to terms with the fact that they need a Bitcoin strategy too. If not this bull market, next bull market, guaranteed, every single publicly traded company in the United States that does not want to get left behind will have a strategy, a Bitcoin strategy. Every person, every company, every nation state gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. And if Apple is really on the cutting edge, then they'll buy Bitcoin. If Microsoft is really on the cutting edge and they're really focused on innovation, they'll buy Bitcoin. Think about Apple for a second. Apple has a policy that they only show individuals in their ads because Apple is designed to be a company. Steve Jobs set it up this way. Apple is designed to be a company that exemplifies the individual. At least that's what they say, right? I'm not saying they always do that, but that's what they say. They exemplify the individual. They exemplify individuality. What empowers the individual more than Bitcoin? They prioritize innovation. What is more innovative than Bitcoin? All right, let's switch companies for a second. Tesla, Elon Musk, want to reinvent everything. Tesla got to $1 trillion market cap reinventing energy and reinventing automobiles. They're going to go to $10 trillion by being part of reinventing the financial system. Here's the most beautiful thing about Bitcoin. These companies don't need to do anything that complicated. They don't have to hire 10,000 consultants to figure out how to set up a new business model. All they got to do is go on an over-the-counter desk and do this. Whoosh. Now we got some Bitcoin. Slam dunk. This is what's coming. I was the one, and if you don't believe me, it's literally the most watched video on our channel. I was the one that told you categorically we were not going to $100,000 last bull market. If you look at the Crypto Jeb channel, it's literally the most viewed video on our channel. It's got over 100,000 views, ironically. Bitcoin is not going to 100K by mid-October of 2021. This is the most viewed video on our channel. It's got 134,000 views. We're not going to 100K by the end of that cycle, is what I was saying in that video. This cycle, we did. I've been telling you what was coming next for years now, which is why people that watch this channel love this channel, because I've been telling you for years what's coming. In the next 5 years, you are going to see these companies that, as Quality Crypto just said, are sitting on a truckload of cash that's going down the toilet deploying money. Take a look at this. Let's go over. Let's use Grok. Let's use Grok. Grok will be able to pull this information for me. Current Apple cash reserves. I want to say it's about $200 billion. Let's see. I think it's about $200 billion. Okay, $50 billion. I apologize. $50 billion in cash and cash equivalents. $50 freaking billion. Tesla cash reserves. Institutional adoption is happening now. Corporate adoption is the next move. Tesla sits on $37 billion of cash. All right, let's keep going. Alphabet cash reserves. try this one. Wow, Apple loves their cash. Jeez. $95 billion in cash reserves. Top 10 largest companies in the world by market cap. List them 1 through 10. If you guys are not using AI to make everything easier for you yet, you're getting left behind. Check this out. Watch how powerful this is if you guys haven't already done this. Here we go. Let's see. So they got Microsoft, largest company in the world, $17 billion in cash reserves. Apple, $48 billion. NVIDIA, $12 billion. Amazon, $50 billion. Alphabet, $95 billion. Saudi Aramco, $37 billion. Meta, $32 billion. Tesla, $37 billion. Berkshire Hathaway, $27 billion. I doubt they're buying Bitcoin anytime soon, so we don't even need to worry about them. TSMC, $60 billion. Total cash reserves. Let's take out Berkshire. So we'll call this $290 billion in cash. $290 billion cash. And that is only 10 boards in charge of that. There are trillions of dollars in play here. And something I need you to also understand is that this is not just about, okay, you deploy $300 billion, because they wouldn't deploy all of it. Let's say you deploy $300 billion into Bitcoin. That doesn't equate to $300 billion market cap. Not even close. It could equate to less market cap. It could equate to more. But what we do know is that with, let's say, 10% of that, you got $30 billion of acquisitions just from those companies. Now, when you factor in sovereigns, so sovereign nation states. I mean, there's a bunch of nation states, believe it or not, that have surpluses. Like Sweden, they got, oh my gosh, talk about all the oil out there. They have a nation, a sovereign wealth fund with all the money that they print from the oil industry. All of the Saudis, the Emirates, all these oil-rich countries that know the world's going in the direction of solar. They're trying to diversify. Where are they going? Well, all the princes out east. Elon's talking to all of them. Saylor's talking to all of them. They're all being advised. Sorry, not Elon. Saylor's talking to all of them. They're all being advised to buy Bitcoin. There's hundreds of billions of dollars that are going to flow into Bitcoin. These little $100 million purchases here and there from Meta and 21 and MicroStrategy, they're nothing compared to what's coming. You're going to see a tidal wave of hundreds of billions of dollars flowing into the Bitcoin space, and a lot of that's going to happen over the next 12 months. So we went off on this tangent because I was trying to qualify whether or not $175,000 makes sense. You need $1 trillion market cap. Depending on, sorry, Norway. Someone corrected me. I meant to say Norway, not Sweden. My apologies. Yes, Norway's on the coast. Sweden's more inland. So Norway's the one with all the access to the oil and gas fields. There are hundreds of billions of dollars. Apologies for that. Thank you for correcting me, guys. There are hundreds of billions of dollars waiting to flow in on the sidelines. You don't need $100 billion to make $100 billion of market cap. If you don't believe me, I mean, I'll just, let me pull this up. Net inflows and total holdings of IBIT ETF. Here's a good example of this. Grok will help me pull up this data real quick. So the net inflows for IBIT is less than the, if I recall correctly, so there you go. With $38 billion of net inflows, the assets under management is $53 billion because the market grows, right? You buy, let's say you were to buy $10 billion worth of Bitcoin. Well, that might move the price up, and all of a sudden, it's worth $20 billion. It's worth $15 billion. That helps to, adding fuel to the already growing fire. Just that wouldn't move the price up, but you end up increasing market capitalization much faster than just the holdings. If you were, and it's the same thing if you were to sell. If you were to sell all of the Bitcoin in circulation, you wouldn't get $2 trillion for it because the price is going to move, right? So if you're buying Bitcoin at 108,000, if you're one of these companies buying Bitcoin at 108,000, you're creating more market cap than the inflow. You don't need $1 trillion of inflows to create $1 trillion of market cap. You might need $100 to $300 billion of inflows. $100 to $300 billion of inflows is not that hard to find. It's really not, because it actually has nothing to do with inflows. And in fact, this is not even a perfect analogy because this isn't even exactly the same thing, because it's not exactly market cap. It's just the value, right? But it kind of paints the picture somewhat. It's not an exact one-to-one comparison because it has to do with average cost basis and everything. But the concept I want you to understand is that the price of Bitcoin obviously does not necessarily have to do with the inflows. I mean, we've seen tens of billions of dollars of inflows, and Bitcoin drops. Why is that happening? Because it doesn't exactly have to do with the inflows. It has to do with supply and demand, and supply and demand is also affected by the demand. It's also affected by where the supply is, right? Whether the supply is on exchange, not on exchange, there's a lot going on there. So if you see a couple $100 billion of inflows into Bitcoin, you could very easily add $1 trillion in market cap in 3 months. Doesn't take much. So, excuse me, the next rally up here to 109, sorry, not 109, 175 looks to be very much in the cards. A rally up to 175 would also track with roughly the midline of this uptrending level of resistance. Even if you exclude this rally right here as an outlier, which would make sense, the trend line makes a lot more sense if you consider that an outlier, then you're looking at a price range on the log chart that looks like this. We're half of the way through our next leg up. We talked about a possible drop down to 92. Doesn't look like that's going to happen right now. Well, guess where that uptrend points us? To $160,000 to $170,000, frankly, within the next couple of months. And so you'll probably have some diminishing returns. It might take until September or October. Maybe you only get up to 165, so it falls off a little bit, and maybe you end up holding this uptrend, for example. Maybe this uptrend doesn't work out. Maybe this one does. Maybe it takes Bitcoin a little bit longer, and we end up punching up to 160 by October. But likely this year, you're going to see Bitcoin trading at over $150,000, and that locks in a lot of your gains. Remember how I said it's just as important to get in early as it is to get in low. The higher that Bitcoin goes, the more secure your investments are. Like my investments that I put in down here at 75, the Bitcoin that I hold from when I got it at $3,000 at both of these intervals here, guys, some of you guys were buying the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy back then for a tenth of a Bitcoin. Like a bunch of you were. You were buying it and it was 0.08 Bitcoin. $8,000 now. Man, you guys really you really paid a lot for that, but hopefully you learned something and made millions off of it. But I held that Bitcoin. Anytime I've ever received payment in Bitcoin, I've never liquidated it, ever. I should start saying that. That's a good selling point. Anytime somebody's ever paid for a service from our company in Bitcoin, I have held the Bitcoin. And in the future, as we get further away from 77, where a lot of your entries are, 100, let's say we go to 160. Just to revisit your entry price at 100, let's say you entered at 100, you have to drop 36%. That's a big drop. For you to be down 10% on your investment, entered at all-time high at 160, entry at 100, for it to drop down to 90, you'd have to see a 45% drop on Bitcoin. That's like bear market levels. You're probably almost done at that level. So as Bitcoin goes higher, it secures your entries and you're playing with house money, which is why people that have been in Bitcoin for a long time, not just got a good entry, but have been in Bitcoin for a long time, the price going down doesn't bother them because most of their entries are not even close to being touched because they're still up 2 or 3x, even if you're down 20% from all-time high. Have you noticed that it's the people that have been in the space for the least amount of time that get the scaredest? Scaredest? Is that a word? Most scared whenever the market drops. It's not something that you need to be freaked out about. You just need to be here for long enough. I told somebody, I was helping somebody invest in Bitcoin. I got my phone's blowing up right now. Retail is showing up. I know, because it's showing up in my inbox. Everybody knows I'm the Bitcoin guy. And everybody wants to talk to me right now. And get, almost every single day, somebody's saying, can you give me advice? I'm like, yeah, I'll give you some very simple, free financial advice. Friend, buy Bitcoin, don't touch it for 10 years. People are like, oh, well, can you actively manage this for me? Are you an advisor? Can you do wealth management for me? I'm like, I could. Or I could just say, buy Bitcoin, hold it, don't touch it. I'll teach you how to set up a wallet. It's that simple. Put 5-10% of your portfolio in if you don't understand. If you understand it like me, put 80% in like I do, But that's what it is. Retail is showing up. Anyway, the point is that, oh gosh, what was the point? I love to ramble. The point is that if you've been in the space for long enough, you're not scared when it drops. And so just get in. I know what I was going to say. I have a friend who I'm helping invest, and he very much understands it. His wife, I'm not sure. I haven't talked to her. I don't know what her stance is on it. I said, if a bear market happens and it drops 20%, 30%, 40%, send her to me and I'll make her feel better because you need to hold through one bear market. You just got to get through one bear market. One bear market. Strategy's there. They held and acquired through one bear market. I've held and acquired through 2 bear markets. You just got to get through your first bear market. It's going to suck. It's going to suck. It's a little bit like at the police academy when you got to get tased to get initiated, right? It's the rite of passage. It's your rite of passage going through a bear market. You go through one bear market. You buy the flip out of that bear market. And then you look forward to the next bear market. I wish Jeb, you're so selfish. I don't care. I wish Bitcoin. I wish it would drop down to 30K. Man, I wish. Oh, I'd buy so much. I get happier about the Bitcoin price the further away it gets from all-time high. I don't really like it when Bitcoin's at all-time high. I'm not selling anytime soon. I know some of you guys do because you've been holding for 8 years. You've been holding since, 2010 and you want to liquidate. I get it. I understand. If it doubles and you go from being up 500x to being up 1,000x, and that's nice, right? I understand. But I love it when Bitcoin's far away from all-time high because I get to buy more. So just focus on two things. And this is really the core concept I want to hammer home as we come into the conclusion of our stream today. Buy Bitcoin as early as possible and then worry about buying as low as possible. Buy Bitcoin as art, and this is not financial advice. Got to put it out there, right? I've never heard of a single YouTuber getting caught on this, getting got on this, but I'm going to put it out there. Not financial advice. But it is my free advice. It is my free opinion, right? But do with it what you will. Make decisions for yourself. Very important. Get it as early as you can. Make that the priority. Then worry about getting as low as you can, generally. We have none of the... I should have shown you this. I should have had this pulled up. There's like 30 different top indicators. I don't know if I can find the chart, the thing real quick, but there's something on CoinGlass. You know what? I took a picture of. My phone's dead. Let's see if I reposted it. I did. I reposted it. Lark Davis posted this. None of the 30 bull market peak indicators are flashing right now, yet some people think that Bitcoin is top for this cycle. Bitcoin AHR 999 index has not peaked. Pi cycle, PUL multiple, Bitcoin rainbow chart, all these are great. Days of net of ETF net outflows, which that's a new one, obviously, but I would agree with that, honestly. MVRVZ score, we've talked about that one before. Bitcoin bubble index, RSI 22-day, alt season index, Bitcoin dominance. None of these, and I haven't gone through every single one of these, but none of these are flashing. Not one of them. I haven't used every single one of these, but I've used the majority of them. CBBI is down here, Crypto Bitcoin Bull Run Index. They're getting closer to the peak to peaks, but they're not there right now. And so I strongly believe that Bitcoin has not topped. I strongly believe that there's more to go in this cycle. And I also encourage you guys, as much as you can, to get as early as possible and then as low as possible. And just load up the bag, right? Just be glad when the market drops. I've been through one bear market. It was with Jeb. Can't wait to see how far we go. Do it, Joe Logan. We're going to read a little bit of chat, and then we got to wrap it up. Then we're going to wrap it out. Hey, guys, if you haven't already, by the way, you need to sign up for Lux Algo. Like, Lux Algo has called every single one of these movements over the last, I've been watching Lux Algo for years. Lux Algo has nailed all of these movements. Right, down here on the daily chart, you can see that we've just flashed a buy signal, which is very exciting. Buy signal has been confirmed, invalidating the sell signal, which gives us confidence that Bitcoin's about to move strongly to the upside. If you look here at some of our things like the reversal zone I want to turn on, you see the reversal zone for Bitcoin is a zone that Bitcoin normally kind of flies into, especially when it has kind of a blow-off top movement. We haven't had that yet. This top right here looks a lot more like this top right here. We're not here. We're like here. Bitcoin is probably about to start flying and going parabolic, and you're going to see it start punching through the reversal zone. Lux Algo is incredibly powerful. We have a lot of content on it. If you haven't signed up for it, you definitely should. Go to the link in the description box down below. I'll pull it up and show you real quick. Go to the link in the description box down below. Sign up for Lux Algo. You're going to be glad you did. If you click the link down below, you're going to be coming right here. And check this out. There are some deals going on right now that you're not going to want to miss. Some June deals. You can get Ultimate for 40% off. That's crazy. That's absolutely nuts. So make sure to sign up for Lux Algo right now, Premium and Ultimate, for $27.99 a month. Or you can sign up for Ultimate for $36.99 a month. Premium is going to give you all of the mainline indicators. Ultimate is going to give you AI backtesting, which is amazing. If you're a trader, you need this. Like, I don't use that word lightly. You need this. This is going to help you optimize your trades so that you make more money. The reason that I recommend Lux Algo is because it costs money and it profits. It's an investment. Invest in getting a Lux Algo membership. There's a reason I've been using it for almost 5 years. It's because it is the best technical indicator package in the game. There's hundreds of technical indicators. I need to just do a full course on Lux Algo. hundreds of technical indicators in here that are going to help you. They've got a full-on Discord server. There's like 30,000 people in the Discord server, so you've got a great community to learn from. They've got all kinds of resources here, docs on how to learn their products. There's the community here, the smartest traders globally, right? You got the Discord server over here. So you can see there's 186,000 people. Oh my gosh, I thought it was 30,000. There's 11,500 people online in the Lux Algo Discord server. This is one of the best communities in the game also. You're going to get access to it with the Lux Algo membership. So sign up right now. Use the link in the description. This is one of the best communities. It is the best technical indicator in the game. Sign up right now. You'll be so glad you did. Join a massive community of people that are learning every day how to succeed in the cryptocurrency space. I cannot recommend Lux Algo enough. Go to luxalgo.com/Jeb. You're going to get a discount. On top of that, you're also going to get access to this discount for another 8 days. If you sign up for the yearly plan, you can get Ultimate for as little as $35.99 a month. You're probably never going to see that price again. So make sure to sign up as soon as you can. Sign up for Lux Algo right now. Check the link down below. Take advantage of these sales. They're going to be gone soon. I hope you guys enjoyed today's stream. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned. We have a new set coming, which is going to be very exciting. A lot of new stuff coming, so stay tuned. Very excited to see where we go with all of that. And before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching. As always, continue to stack your Bitcoin, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.